Shalom. Before I begin this video, first and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule very well to this very day, that is feeding the flock through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. And also shalom to the hopeful elect that is laboring his work and his labor of love that is spreading his ministry and his gospel to the other members of the hopeful elect in faith and truth, sincerity, and all charity. Now, the topic of this video is going to be entitled Precursors to Deliverance, in which I'm going to be explaining occurrences that happened back in the ancient world that played as precursors or show you an example of how our deliverance is going to be. All right, because, that's one of the mysteries of the scriptures of how, the men who are worthy to be delivered. And I say that because not everyone's going to be saved in that day. All right. And, that's the harsh reality of the Bible, is knowing that, not everyone's going to make it. And when you really go into the scriptures and learn more what that entails, you really understand why, and you don't get bent out of shape for knowing that, you don't lose it. Because we understand why. We understand why there's certain ones specifically out of the nation of Israel that's going to be delivered in that day, for various reasons, which I'm not going to go into in this video because they'll make it go a lot longer than what it needs to. But the point is that the mystery of deliverance that's been locked away is being revealed now. And the deliverance is going to come by way of the chariots of the Lord, which, the people read about in the scriptures, in which the chariots are not literally horses and, carriages, this or that, which the modern day church tells you what they look like. Because it's written throughout the scriptures what the chariots look like, man. All right. And the description of the chariots fits the description of what the people call the day as so-called UFOs. All right. They have very different shapes and sizes. And you have men of the Lord that written about the chariots and described how they look. Okay? And that's how our deliverance is going to come by. All right? It's going to come by what the world calls so-called UFOs. And for some, that's a hard pill to swallow, because the people have been taught that, so-called UFOs are little green men with bug eyes and big heads, which that's the furthest away from the truth as possible, man. Okay? What resides in the chariots are the angels of the Lord. Okay? Because really, the reason why they taught that in the first place is to put fear upon the people, and also to reject the reality of chariots. Basically putting the fear upon the people that that you have little green men within the chariots, within the so-called UFOs. But us that's in the know, who has learned this truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, starting with the apostle elders on down, we know about the existence of the chariots, and we know what's contained within the chariots, or was operating the chariots. Okay? But not to stray too far from the topic, those are the vehicles of our salvation. That's how we're going to be delivered out of the coming destruction, which is going to come by way of fire. All right? That's the only way. That's the only ticket out of here. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my first precept that I have, 2 Kings, the second chapter. I'm gonna start at the 9th verse. And like I mentioned before at the beginning of the video, you have certain events that happened back in the ancient world that serves as examples and precursors to show you how it's gonna be when the Lord returns. All right. It's at verse 9. It says, "And it came to pass when they were gone over, that Elijah said unto Elisha, Ask what I shall do for thee before I be taken away from thee. And Elisha said, I pray thee, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me. And he said, Thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee, but if not, it shall not be so. So Elisha asked Elijah before he was taken up what he'll do for him. And he asked for a double portion of the Spirit, in which he did receive a double portion of the Spirit. But I'm about to read the point in the scripture. This is at verse 11. It says, And it came to pass as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. See? And that's why the scripture speaks about the chariots being a whirlwind, a cloud, a wheel within a wheel. Which again, you had different men that were back in the ancient world, the men of the Lord, that saw the chariots and they described them. Okay? They described it to the best of their ability, because the vocabulary back in the ancient world was limited to what they know. And that's what they used to describe the chariots. Okay? So the chariot came and parted both Elijah and Elisha asunder. All right? And Elijah was taken up into a whirlwind into heaven. Now Elijah was taken up into a chariot. Okay? He was beamed up. And Elisha witnessed it. All right, now this is at verse 12. It says, And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces. All right, so Elijah didn't see death. He was taken up into a chariot. Okay? Now I'm going to go from there. I'll grab another scripture, right? The book of Acts, the first chapter. And this is at verse 9. It says, And when he had spoken these things, and he that's talking about is talking about Yahushai, who these people inwardly call Jesus. It says, And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received them out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel. Right. So the Lord, Yahushai, was taken up to a chariot. Okay. Verse 11, it says, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushai, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. Right. So Yahushai, who was taken up into the chariot when he left the apostles, it was said unto them that he's going to come back in like manner. He's going to come. He went up into a chariot, right? He was taken up. He was beamed up. And guess what? He's going to come back in a like manner. He's going to come back with his chariots. Okay? Now I'm going to go from there. Actually, before I grab that, I got 1 Corinthians on deck. But first, I want to grab grab Isaiah chapter 66, verse 15. It says, "For behold, the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind." See, there's that word whirlwind again. "To render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire." Okay, so when the Lord returns, like I just read earlier in Acts, the first chapter, he's going to come back with his chariots. Okay, and he's not going to come back the way that he arrived on earth in the flesh as before. All right, because when he was in the flesh, he was the lamb, known as the Lamb of the Most High. All right, and he is the Lamb of the Most High. So, but he came back in a humble fashion, because he had a duty to fulfill. He had to fulfill prophecy. He had to be that sacrificial lamb and give himself up give his life up for the sins of Israel. But when he returns, he's not going to play that role anymore. All right, he's going to play the role of the destroyer of the Gentiles, and that's his title. That's one of his titles, man. He's known as the Lion of the tribe of Judah, and he's known as the destroyer. Okay, so he's going to come back in that fashion. He's going to come back as the destroyer of the Gentiles, and he's going to come back as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Okay, I'm going to grab another precept, Revelations, the 11th chapter, and this is at the 11th verse. It says, "And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them." Right? It's talking about the elect. And you're starting to see that right now. You're starting to see the men of the Lord who are being raised up in the spirit, and the breath of life, the breath of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai is entering into us. Okay? "And they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them." All right, and the way that have taken place is that we were once in the dead state. That's why this place is known in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, as the Valley of the Dry Bones. Okay, so the bones have came together, and the flesh is put on those bones, and that same breath, which is the breath of life from Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai, enter into the bones and the sinews and the flesh, enter into the bodies, and we live. All right, now we're living. Okay, and we're standing upon our feet, and great fear is falling upon them which see us, man. That's why Edomites are reluctant to do anything to us, man, because they know in the back of their minds that if they make any sort of moves towards the men of the Lord, and they know about the scriptures. They know about the scripture where it says, "Touch not mine anointing and do my prophets no harm." They know about that. They have scholars that look into this. So if they were to make any sort of moves, in the back of their mind, they're going to be thinking, man, we put our hands on these people. We put our hands on these men. The Lord may just come back. That's in the back of their mind. All right. And they say may because they, of course they don't believe. So great fear is falling upon them which see us. And not just Esau or Edom, which is the so-called white man. You've got these other nations that see us, and they're in great fear. Because we were a fierce nation back in the ancient world, man. They knew that a power was working with us, and they still know that to this very day. All right? They know if we were to come back to our power, he's going to fight for us. And that's a threat to what they have set up. Okay? Verse 12, it says, "And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither." Read it again. It says, "And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither." All right. "And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud." Right. So that's the word cloud. Now it doesn't mean a literal cloud like you got this guy in ITR. The head guy in ITR saying that it's a literal cloud. No, man. It's the chariot of the Lord, man, which is known today as so-called UFOs. It says, and they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And